That worked perfectly. That's great. Hello everybody, and welcome back. People waiting in chat already. Let's see. Turin Taramba, nice to see you. Tim Bolton. Katalin D. Hesimovic. I think I got that. Duff Dog. Kyle there as well. Um, um, and no, Tim, it's not London time. Nick Corbin, Katalin Moss. Hello all, and we've got quite an interesting and exciting stream today because basically we're going to be discussing all your guys' latest theories around the Rings of Power Season 2. So that is very exciting. And of course, I need a lovely team to accompany with me with that. And as on the far on the left, smiling there already, you have Nikki. Hello there.
My Govanen.
With the awesome new mic. So if you want any Nikki ASMR at the end, we can try sort that out. And we've got Rory. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Great to have you back. And Rory has the reason I think unintentionally, I think the perfect reason you should be on this panel is because you've been quite out of the loop. I think is the best way to put it. So you'll be taking this. You'll be looking at all these scoops and news from a bit of a different perspective as someone, how do we say it, audience surrogate in a way.
A little bit of an audience surrogate. Yeah, I'm a little
Yeah.
bit off the grid lately, so some of this will
Mhm.
be quite new to me. So there we go.
Perfect. And someone who's just joined on the left, we have Arking. Hello there. What's up?
Good to see everybody. Can't wait to hopefully talk about some dwarven speculation for season 2.
Uh, would it make you angry that no one submitted any Dwarven speculation?
Didn't submit it, or you guys chose to not grab any screenshots.
The drama.
Nikki was in charge of it, so I don't know what happened to all the fan mail. All the fan mail is at Nikki's house. So
yeah,
We'll talk after this.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Okay, away from that, of course, also making a second appearance, firstly on the second day Joe, and now again here we have V. Hello there.
Hello, everyone. Glad to be joining again to discuss the speculations you all have, and maybe we will see a lot of the elves.
Yes, the elves. Let's go. Well, okay, it seems like you're potentially on your own today over there, but all good.
I'm already typing up an email.
So, okay, we asked on Twitter, Instagram, Discord, Facebook for your theories, and we're going to go through a lot of them in today's stream. And I think the best way to do it is that we'll also be taking in comments from the chat as well and your thoughts on it. So, firstly, I think let's just get right into it. So, this one comes from Discord, and it is. We've been talking on the Discord about Meteor Man being Saruman. The Gandalf similarities being tied to the line I think I am Saruman, one might say. Saruman as he ought to have been. Gandalf never went east. It was the only place that did not have a name for him, but Saruman did. Saruman started out as good, but was corrupted. We've never really seen the wizard that Gandalf respected. And interesting, I think Carl mentioned this beforehand because I don't want to steal his thoughts, but the show did start off with something evil is not at the beginning. I forgot it's the phrase from the Council of Elrond, like not everything's evil in the beginning or something along those lines. And yeah, maybe that could lead to the fact that that's the theme of the show,
Evil in the beginning.
In the beginning. And of course that did happen with Saruman. That came from Nicola Bowden on Discord, so thank you for that. But who wants to take this away first? Does anybody here see Saruman actually as like a surprise possibility?
I mean, I would be very happy if it was Saruman and not Gandalf. Because I guess I like that better and it makes more sense in a way. I would prefer it to be one of the blue wizards or go even further and being like beyond that, but some kind of wizard. But If it has to be either Gandalf or Saruman, I like the idea of it being Saruman. Because I would love to see him in his prime, when he was good, when he was fighting for the good, when he was finding himself, when he has all of these powers, and at some point he was amazing enough for Gandalf to look up to him, right? So I would love to see that. That's my thoughts on it, but I still think it's Gandalf, sadly.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Any other perspectives?
I agree. I want to add on what Nikki was saying, that basically I've never wanted it to be Gandalf from the beginning. I still think probably it is Gandalf, but if there's a chance it could be somebody else, it's even Saruman. It's a little bit, but it's at least 1 degree better than Gandalf. I feel like having it be Gandalf, it's such a fan servicey decision. It's forced into into the second age. So if it could be Saruman, maybe it would be slightly better story than Gandalf, I think.
And that is true. And V's, yeah, I think you were going to add something as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I will stay delusional and believe until the end that it is a blue wizard because I want so bad for him to be a blue wizard, like the
You have some
mystery
support.
surrounding them.
There you
Yes,
go.
so, but I know that it doesn't really, like, the hints that they have given us goes to Gandalf, but
Yeah.
still Saruman is a better option. But I will always, until like they say his name, I will be Team Blue Wizard, like, no question.
And I think an interesting thing mentioned, and I'll try to get it on screen soon. I think let's find the actual comment. Vertex said Wayman looks a bit more like Christopher Lee than Ian McKellen physically. I think Varkin, do you see any similarities between the two?
I mean, physically, yeah, I think they do have a similar appearance, but I also don't think he's too far away from, Ian McKellen either. I would really like for the Stranger to be Saruman. I think that would be, for me, it'd be a little more fulfilling than having it be Gandalf, which everybody's been guessing since day one. And like it said, not everything is evil in the beginning. He thinks he's good, but he has these moments, even when he's trying to be good, where he has the ice come up and it kind of like freezes Nori's hand. He like knocks down part of a tree and almost kills a bunch of Harfoots. Like, that would kind of set the tone for future Saruman, where even when he's trying to be good, sometimes he does some things that may be perceived as evil. But I'd like to see that kind of story develop over the course of the show, like Nikki was saying, where we see the wizard that Gandalf at one point really looked up to before, the downfall. Like, I would love to see that. And I hope that his trip eastward leads us to eventually meeting one or two potential wizards that might be not white or gray or brown, but the two other ones I can't remember.
Yo, definitely. And we know in the story, I think, is it Peoples of Middle Earth? I forgot which volume. There was a version where it was, of course, it was revised and revised as Tolkien often did, where Saruman did go east, and of course something happened with the Blue Wizards, and that could be a possibility. And on screen right now, you can see a comparison quickly made. But I think let's think of one important thing. That if again Tim Bolton mentioned, always follow your nose. As of right now, does it seem more? I think the evidence, is it fair to say that the evidence is more in Gandalf's favor than, let's say, Saruman? Is that a fair consensus?
Yes, but he might have learned it from someone else. So if he at one point looked up to Saruman, and maybe Saruman used to say that, so he did. You pick up things from people you look up to all the time.
Fair point. It will be interesting. And again, let's go back to this here. Sorry, go ahead.
Julia in the chat asked a pretty good question after. So
Which question do you want to read it out, and I'll get it on screen?
sure. She said during the fight between the stranger and the three
The
mystics.
miss, yeah,
One of them says something like he's not Sauron, he's one of the other Istari. I can't remember the exact quote, but
yeah, maybe it's he's an Istar. Maybe we'll have to get that fact
He's
checked.
the other. He's the other Daystar.
yeah, that's
Like
Hmm.
Yeah, I
it's
don't think
Sauron who is a
he's not
Maiar.
Sauron. I think he
Yeah,
says he's not the one, or yeah, he's not the one. He's the other, the Istar.
yeah, yeah.
I think she's
Yeah,
saying it like that, but I don't know because I didn't
okay.
actually read the transcript. But
I
that's
mean,
what it
that could
sounded like to
still
me.
mean it could still mean Gandalf. It could still mean Saruman, even either or, right? So it's not
Hmm.
definitive.
I just assumed they were looking for Sauron. So he's not
Yeah.
Sauron. He's the other, the Istar.
yep. Nikki
Oh,
got a
okay.
spawn. Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Perfect, perfect. And it seemed like from the poll results, 65% can see the possibility of it potentially ending up being Saruman. And let's see the final things. I think the Stranger Blue Wizard maybe is one of the best stories in the show. Um, yeah, but I think that is of course a good point. But yeah, I think people want it to be the Blue Wizard, but here, interestingly, they have given the possibility of it being Sadaman. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. And we just received a super chat. Ahab Ahmed Farouk, thank you for this. Really appreciate it. Love you, everyone. Appreciate it as always. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Um,
What a
um,
kind message. Thank you for
yeah,
that. Also, Dalbon says, Hi, FOF. I have a Reddit link that explains very specifically why the stranger might be a blue wizard. It's a cool theory. Can I send the link since we're speculating about him? Yeah,
go.
if you want, you can also post it on our Reddit. If you go to
Yeah.
reddit.com/r/fellowship of fans, or you can drop it in Discord and we'll try to pull it up.
Yeah, please, and we'll try to get back to that later in the end. If you either post it in our Discord or post it to the r/fans Reddit at the end of the stream, we can actually go back to that. So for sure. And actually, to finish this, actually, we're getting into quite an interesting discussion now. It says it is cited as foretelling the future of Istari for Sauron in Unfinished Tales. If Sauron introduced himself to the mystics as an Istar, it makes sense to call the other the stranger that way. Yeah, but I think it's fair. I think that interesting quote, I believe it just to mean like the opposite to Sauron, but I think the thing to say there, it feels like in the Lord of the Rings, Sauron's enemy, not like biggest rival adversary was Gandalf. So that works in a way, it makes sense
Hmm.
that even since the start they've always been battling with each other. But who knows, who knows? But I think should we put this one in the ground for a sec and let's move on to actually I think a bit more of an interesting one. Um, let's read this one out. My Oops, sorry, my Siri just came up. My theory for season two's big reveal is based on Anitar's codename being Silas C, meaning of the forest, C as in Celeborn, Celeborn of the trees. Fate Celeborn would come back to Middle-earth, a la Glorfindel on a boat with Círdan pretending to have been sent back by the Valar. He goes to Eregion and poses as a representative of the Valar. Galadriel doesn't trust his Celeborn and doesn't believe him to be her Celeborn. In the end, it's revealed that he's been Anatar/Sauron all along, and the real Celeborn will be revealed, and it'll be a big surprise, kind of like his codename Jove, as in by Jove. So I think that is very interesting theory, and we can't confirm nor deny whether what's called
I'll
Celeborn's
do it.
no, whether Silas C is a codename for Celeborn. But let's say based off this scenario that it is. So I think they're trying to say Silas is a codename for Anatar, and then the C stands for Celeborn. So that translated would mean the character is called Anatar Celeborn. So basically, the gist of this, Celeborn comes back in season 2, but he's actually Anatar. That is basically what it is. Any initial theories or reactions to this, or is this a bit far fetched in your opinion?
I think it's a bit far fetched for me. The C as in Celeborn is doing a lot of heavy lifting here. I mean, it's creative, but if it comes off like this, I'll be a little bit surprised. That's very specific.
Yeah. Yeah, again, the heavy lifting is if the C stands for Celeborn, it could easily, not. And because why would in a code name, why would it say the beginning of actual character name wouldn't it's like it's a bit weird over the place. But okay, let's say we give this theory the benefit of the doubt and it is actually potentially true. And let's say Anatar is Celeborn. Would that as a theory, would that be could anyone see that working in any way? Or are you guys still trying to wrap your heads
Well,
around it?
if it's got to be a mix of Anatar and Celeborn, then whoever's playing Celeborn is going to have to be a very attractive person because of what we expect for somebody who would be playing Anatar. But to me, like, why does the C have to be Celeborn? There's a whole bunch of C names of people we haven't seen yet. Or,
Yeah.
if we're saying Anatar can like shift into the looks of people we already know, then maybe the C could be Celebrimbor. There's
Or
other folks with a C that they could, shift into.
and I think to add on to your point, 04 and Bottas could see mean a third iteration of Silas, who is Silas A and Silas B. Maybe that could be. There might be Silas D E F G. Who knows? But
Mm.
okay, but does anybody conceivably okay, let's say if this theory about Anatar being Celeborn, is there any way it kind of makes sense or could make sense? Because if the whole thing about people don't know where Celeborn was in season 1, then he maybe like magically appears in season 2, and then you know um everybody thinks it's good and he ends up actually being Anatar. Could that be a coherent story point? Is that still a bit far fetched or unrealistic? Or not even that, not even whether unrealistic, would that even be a good storyline?
It depends on whether or not they're trying to stay canon or trying to find back to canon, or if they're still doing their own thing, I guess. I mean, they could do that. It would fit the track record of the other, like of season 1, but at the same time, I wouldn't like it. I'd accept it, but I wouldn't like it.
Same
It
with, I
doesn't make
guess,
sense to me.
Halbrand review in season 1.
No, let's not even talk about it. My
Well,
heart is
I
why
still
mean,
broken. My heart is
I
still
still
broken.
remember.
why would he
basic.
pick Celeborn? Like, who is he trying to fool that
Mm,
Celeborn would be the form that he needs to take? You would assume
mm,
Galadriel, but then he kind of already pulled the wool over her eyes in season 1. So then we're going to do it a second time for her in season
Mhm.
2? Or is there somebody
Yeah,
else
why is
super
he
close
upset
to
with her?
Celeborn?
Why
Yeah.
is he obsessed with her? Like it's turning into this weird obsession love story where he's just stalking Galadriel. And why should she be fooled by it again? Like now that she's realized, how would she let herself be fooled by him pretending to be her husband or her love? Is she that blind? Are they gonna portray her as that? Like she's already been angry and upset all of season 1. Is she gonna be blind and an idiot in season 2? Is that their plan? I don't know. That would be weird to me.
So So here's the thing: you basically are trying to do too many like storylines if they do go this way. Like you're having to do the Anatar undercover in disguise storyline somehow make it work after the Halbrand fiasco of season 1, and then also introduce Celeborn, which is tied into the Galadriel storyline, which is going to be tied into Anatar and Celebrimbor. So it's like if all those things are mixing around in the pot, it's already going to be too convoluted. I don't. I just can't see them doing that. If they did it, it wouldn't land well with the fans. I don't think either.
mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair. I think yeah, it could, yeah, the convolution as you said, that's true. And V, I know you wanted to add something as well.
Yeah, it's just because it's already done. Basically, having Sauron as some sort of love interest of Galadriel in season 1, I don't see a point of having a transformation and I knew, like
Mhm.
trying to find Sauron again in a love interest of Galadriel's. And also, I mean, they already kind of broke the canon by having Galadriel getting fooled by Sauron once, although there are
Yeah.
some fans that cover it somehow and say that she wasn't exactly fooled and it was a way for her to get away. And etc. So having her fooled a second time from like a potential Caliburn,
Yeah.
I think would be too far-fetched. Also, Caliburn supposedly is her husband, her love of her life.
Yeah.
She knows him very well and she misses him very much. I think it will be very easy for her to see that Sauron isn't actually Caliban just from his mannerism, for his character, etc. When you're married to someone, usually you know them and how they behave. So it's pretty far fetched to get fooled by that. Maybe if any soldiers or someone else found Celeborn and knew just how Celeborn looks, they could be fooled. And then we see Sauron change his form, and once he infiltrated again some elven camp. But that's even more far-fetched to me.
Mm.
Like, yeah.
Hmm.
Let's not
Yeah.
forget that his primary goal right now would have to be to forge more rings and eventually the One Ring. So he's not chasing, he's got more important things to do than chasing Galadriel across the continent and trying to convince her to love him. Like, he has other things. So maybe the reason for his new, whatever it is, his new look, uh, it's gonna have to be to fool someone else, not Galadriel, which means it can't be Celeborn, it has to be someone else.
Could there be a scenario where he doesn't fool, where Celeborn doesn't fool Galadriel but fools Celebrimbor? Because remember, Galadriel might be trapped. Remember, we know from one of our scoops. Okay, quick spoiler warning about. Actually, no, everyone. This is a theory speculation video. People want to be here for scoops. I just remembered.
Mhm.
We know in one of our scoops. Rory might not know this, but Galadriel gets captured by Adar for a period of time. Maybe like Galadriel isn't there, and then Celeborn in the meantime tricks Celebrimbor. Maybe it could work like that, so you don't have the downgrading of Galadriel's character. And then when she does meet Celeborn again, she realizes something is up, and that's maybe when the revelation happens. But yeah,
I
anybody have
just
any
have to
thoughts
say,
on that?
yay, more Adar. I want more
Moradar.
Adar. I love
Yeah.
him. He's
Well,
fantastic.
from what I can say, there is a lot of Adar in this season. Adar is a cool character this season, so yeah,
Oh, yay.
expect a lot from him.
A different actor, though, right?
A different actor, but yeah, I think Sam Hazelden has been doing good stuff as well. So
Yeah, yeah,
looking
yeah.
I'm excited to see it.
very forward, very forward, very looking forward to that. And while looking forward, let's move forward onto our next scoop, which is Numenorian related. First time in a while. We're
Hmm.
going to meet Anarion when Earien and slash or Elendil go to where he's living in order to tell him about Isildur's death. While Anarion is heartbroken, he's still refusing to return to the main city, which is how we get to learn more about the faithful versus the Kingsmen. So that's a very interesting thing, and we can even go into the whereabouts of what's his face, Anarion. But first off, I think an interesting thing is to mention one of our previous scoops is that there's a new location called Telperion Bay, and we don't know whether it's in Middle Earth or Numenor, but Telperion was a previous Numenorian queen, so maybe that could lead to the fact that Telperion Bay is in fact in Numenor on the island. Maybe it's one of the coasts. It's weird. We do have Romena and Nine, all these different places, which are lore canon places, or
Hmm.
well, places Tolkien reference. So it'd be weird that we're not seeing. Maybe that's a rights issue, but we do have this Telperion Bay, which I would like to put as a bit of context before we get into this. So yeah, do first of all, who thinks we are going to see a Nardi on this season? Oh, V, yep, you think so? What
I
do you
mean,
and
I've
yep.
seen this circulating a lot in the Twitter community with Aryan making an entrance, either with Aryan and Elendil telling him that Isildur is dead, or just with Elendil in the scene, and maybe they make another expedition because Anarion wants to push find his brother again, and he doesn't believe like he's dead. I've seen a couple of like um, speculations. And actually, the more interesting thing that I wanted to bring, we all know that Twitter has gone mad that over who is Celeborn or Anari or whatever, and they have Callum Lynch as either Celeborn or Anarion. They did a poll recently, so it's really funny to me how they have managed to cast one of the like the actor as one on the other, like either Galadriel's husband or Isildur's brother. So they are definitely giving him a big role. So I wanted to also mention that since we are doing speculations here. I mean, we have to see an Arion at some point. I believe we have to get introduced to him because he plays a big role in the establishment of the kingdoms in Middle Earth that the Numenorians make. So season two, I think it's not bad to do that because we don't know how close the fall of Numenor actually is. So I hope we will see him in this season.
Indeed, indeed. I think even with, I think building on Ayarian, we see here Tarmodi, Ayarian will probably enter Pharazon's sphere of influence further in the coming seasons and build the Melkor Temple under the influence of Sauron. So, that could be a possibility. But Varking, tell us about your best friend Emma Horvath, about her character. Do you think we could see a relationship between her and maybe Anarion in season two, for example, like this?
I think if she's a catalyst for bringing Anarion on screen, that would be really cool. But I was just going to say, in general, having her be a part of the Faithful storyline and maybe allowing us to learn more about the Faithful, who's in it. I know there's been a lot of older gentlemen who have been cast, and sometimes we've speculated that they might end up being some sort of priest or somebody who is part of the Faithful. Um, I would love to see more of that and kind of dive into that background more because they mentioned these folks in season one, and then we don't really get enough from them. And kind of like the role she played in season one, she was in spots here and there, but we know that there were some things that were cut. But my preference, not just because we're besties, but just in general, I'd like to see her get more screen time. Numenor get more screen time. Kemen as well. If we're going to have these main characters with the hands posters, let's get them their due on screen time. Let's let their story play out, and let's figure out how to feel about these characters and what they're going to be doing.
And building onto that, I think then having maybe them to be entwined potentially with Anada would be interesting. And I want to talk about this last part quickly. He's still refusing to return to the main city, which is how we learn more about the Faithful versus the Kingsmen. The thing about this is mainly we got the Faithful versus Kingsman conflict that we are probably going to see in season two. But I think the interesting thing here is, do they show a Nadion? I think Rory and Nikki, I'll send this on to you, either one of you. Like, do you think we'll see, like, a Nadion seems a bit like a rebel, don't you think? Someone who's like really, motivated. Maybe I don't know how to say this without it's someone taking it out of context, but like he seems really politically motivated. With the Faithful versus Kingsman, he has devout beliefs. Do you think we might see a characterization like that of him in season two if we do get to see him?
Probably, yeah. I'm kind of hoping we do, both because it's an interesting arch and an interesting character to follow. But I'm also pretty interested in the storyline between the Faithful and the Kingsmen, and I want to see more of it because as we have a show that's going to span on for several more seasons, I would love to see more of the politics and the continued darkening of the Numenorian people that eventually is leading to their demise, which we all know is going to happen at some point. And we kind of need to see that happen for us to respect it happening, I guess. Otherwise, it will feel like even though we know it happens, it will feel unrelatable. Like we don't want them to. Like we don't understand why it happens. So I would love to see this storyline unfold.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. And I think, yeah, personally, I'm with you on that. And Rory, do you have any final thoughts before we move on?
Actually, I hope they go in this direction. I hope this one is pretty accurate because they did a lot of the setup of season one was like them being really coy and hinting about, oh, our brother off in the on the other side of the island, what's he doing there? We don't know, but we'll show you next season. I hope it pays off. It would be pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm. Totally, totally. And hopefully we get to see more of Numenor in general. I think that's an overarching point. But I think moving on to, in my opinion, my favorite theory slash speculation so far is Sauron prologue reversed to Galadriel's prologue. It's my fantasy. Okay, it's my fancy, but it would be like we see Myron, Ayule, Morgoth, later time jump to Sauron in war from intro. Okay, let me say this with the grammar. So later time jump season to Sauron during the war. From the intro of season one, we see what happened to Finrod. Then we see what happened in the North Fortress, Sauron experiments, and then the relationship, I think that's meant to say, with Adar as well, and maybe that fight with Adar. We know Charlie Vickers mentioned that we might be seeing Lord Sauron's backstory and how he got to that position on the raft. So maybe the theory here is, do we just see a reverse of season one? Season one opened with Galadriel's prologue and her version of the events, as he says. The flashback to Finrod, the battles, and then Finrod's death. Maybe in season two, you start off with a Sauron prologue, and then we get to see his point of view and see what happened during that when Glad was holding the helmets. Instead, we're going to see what Sauron did during that battle. Then we see Finrod dead. We're going to see what actually happened to Finrod in season two, etc. So do you guys get my point? It's the reverse, and this is actually one of my favorite ones so far. Does anybody have any initial thoughts about this?
I think I can see part of that playing out for sure. Charlie Vickers has talked about getting kind of the backstory of where he's been, explain why he's on the raft and all that. So it could lead to that. I just hope that they don't spend too much time on it because I see a lot of people already chiming in saying that they would just love to see more of the gentleman who played Finrod. The look of him, he looks like a Finrod. But to me, we need to I want to do less prologue stuff and focus more on the stories that we're in now, especially with the dwarves and getting to them and their rings and the relationship between the Durins. So less time for everybody else. And we know at the end of the season, there's going to be a good old, I think they said 2-day battle or 2-episode battle that takes place. So the elves, Sauron, Adar, they're all going to get their due. So I think earlier in the season, we need to focus more on the dwarves.
I think that's fair. That's fair. And I think, despite that, I'm on the other side. I think having a Sauron prologue would be quite cool in like in a
Cut his
reverse.
mic. Cut his mic.
I'm actually the only one who can cut mics here, so I
Yeah.
don't what sure you'd say, but I'm joking. Anyways, yeah, I think Dalbon mentions how it worked with rights. Well, they did have access to stuff that weren't in the rights they had in season one, and I know there has been special permissions for season two. So I don't think generally for vague stuff or specific niche stuff, rights will be too much of a problem. So I think who likes the idea of just seeing a Sauron prologue, see his side of the events which align with Galadriel's from season one and how that develops? I think Nikki, I saw you put your thumbs up for that. You like
I
this
like the
idea?
idea, yes, but then I remember that Halbrand is Sauron, and I don't like it anymore.
Well, there
I don't
might be
care
more.
how he ended up on that
No,
raft. I
to
don't
be
care about
fair,
him. Go away. No.
it
To be
might be a
fair,
different version of Sauron. It might not be Charlie Vickers' version.
it would be cool to see. Um, because it means we get to see more of Middle Earth, more of that early stage, sort of. But then it would explain how what they were thinking. Like, how did he end up there? There has to be a reason, because the fact that he was there in the first place doesn't make any sense. So I don't know. Yes, I would love to see it, but I just don't know if I would love it when I see it.
That's fair. While we have Khalil who wants a whole prologue episode. So it looks like we were getting a variation of opinions. I
Rory, what
think
were you gonna say?
I think I think that there's a big difference between what we want and what is likely to happen. I think we would all love some sort of Galadriel-esque Silmarillion summary, like for Sauron. That would be wonderful, but I don't think it's ever gonna happen. Some people already brought up the rights issues, so I think that what I do think from this theory that we could maybe take away is I do think they're gonna have some sort of explanation why is Halbrand on that raft, and I think we'll get a little bit about what's going on in the cold ice fortress, maybe with the symbol. Um, but I don't think we're gonna get anything with Maiars or Valar or Valinor or any of the War of Wrath or any of that. No, no chance.
Well, just to since this is a speculation episode, I saw one of the actresses from The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel say that they had to cut their show because Amazon had to pay for some orcs. And maybe you cut a Maisel and you go back to the Tolkien estate and you buy a little bit more rights with that money you're saving now. And maybe they can do more.
Mm-hmm. That is
I
fair. That. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted also to like go in and like give my bit of opinion. Also, one in the chat kind of mentioned it, Elena, um, that it could dive into his character a lot more and help the audience to understand his motivations. I really like the comment because we know that Tolkien later in his life started to see his world a bit more gray and not so white and uh, white and black
Black.
that he has done in Lord of the Rings. Sorry. Um, and Silmarillion has that premise that whatever you think is fully dark and fully evil has a root and has a reason behind it, and it maybe gives a bit of reasoning behind the orcs and makes you sympathize a bit more. So I think it will be a really good idea to have a counter to Galadriel's, that it was supposed to be the light, and have the reason for evil like in the prologue of season 2, and so the motivations of Sauron, because I think the show tries to lean into more in that gray aspect of Tolkien and not just present good versus evil all the time, and has like a gray area of ethics. So I would really like it. Also, we know that they can probably use the names of Aule and Morgoth. I'm not sure about Meryn, to be honest, but Aule is already used. Like I think Aule's beard, what was Gimli said, and Morgoth I think is a name that was used in the books. So I think they have the rights for the names. I don't know how many rights they have for the story, but I mean the prologue for season 1 didn't really show everything. It saw a version of Silmarillion, very like supposed together, and also very much from the perspective of Galadriel, and maybe something that she would say to Melian in order not
Mm-hmm.
to incriminate the elves. So I think it's possible for them to do it. It might be a long shot, and they might have to skip a lot of parts. For example, I don't believe we will see War of Wrath either, but we might see other parts. But I would love to know how Halbrand ended up on the raft as well.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a really nice thing, a really nice theory to have.
Mm-hmm.
Can
And I
I
think
can I suggest a variation of this?
go for
Would
it.
be that instead of the full prologue, we do know that we're going to see more of Adar, and we know that Sauron is on his way into his dark realm. That was the last thing we saw. Maybe they have like a big standoff. Maybe there is some sort of confrontation there where we see flashbacks of the reason why they are so angry with each other, or what happened, because we know that they somehow had some sort of clash that led to Sauron obviously remembering and hating Adar. So there could be something coming through in the form of either flashbacks or conversation, even.
Yeah.
I'd love to see where Adar said that he like split Sauron in two previously, or split him. That'd be cool to
Yeah.
see. Show me.
That's in the DVD extras, buddy. You gotta pay. You gotta pay for
Yeah.
that.
Extended edition Rings of Power now.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, we do know they had like 12, 14 hours worth of content, and we only got to see
Yeah.
like 8 of it. So who knows? And I think Tar Modi is right here. Showrunners have already mentioned that it will be a soundtrack season. So yes, it is possible. And I think let's see anything else. Um, I think yeah, I think we should move on to another Sauron-ish focused theory. If this is that's the wrong one. Um, give me a moment. It is this one. Here we go. So next theory. My personal theory. Oh, let me just quickly end this poll as well. Did I sound? Oh, looks like okay. Vodkin, I think 93% of the chat is disagreeing with you. They do want to see a Sauron prologue. So yeah, I think that maybe that's just the dwarven stubbornness in you,
Yeah,
personally.
no, it's okay for them to be wrong.
So my personal theory is the One Ring will be forged around episode 6 of season 2. It will be a huge moment, just like Mount Doom in season 1. I think also Mount Doom eruption was at the end of episode 6. Before the One Ring is Sauron, Halbrand getting control of Orcs plus Anitar. After could be the sack of Eregion, episode 7 to episode 8. So I think basically what this theory is saying is that so 6 will be the One Ring being forged, the big moment of the season, and then all the Anatar stuff plotline would have happened beforehand, and then we just get to that 2 episode battle, episode 7 and episode 8. Firstly, I think are we all in agreement that the One Ring kind of has to be forged this season because it is called the Rings of Power, and you're going potentially 3 seasons into the show without the One Ring being forged would be a bit, far fetched. So I think
I
are we all in
disagree a
agreement?
bit.
Oh, you disagree? Fair enough. Take the
Yeah,
floor.
I would love to see it in season 3. I mean, we have to see some ring forging. Like, I believe we will see the rest of the rings and maybe given out. Like the dwarves and the humans are the ones left, and maybe a bit experimental rings. I would love to see some of them too. But I don't know. Like, I feel it's a bit rushed. Maybe again delusional based on the leaks that I know, and I still want to
That's
believe
fair.
to what I would want to be done. But I would ideally want the 2 war episodes that we are gonna get in the end of the season to be just for freeing Galadriel, maybe a problem in the region, but not the sacking of a region yet. So we will basically see something like a pre-battle of the battle that we will see in the region, because it doesn't really make sense to me based on the leaks we have to have Elrond on the side and Gil-galad and yada yada yada, everyone else that we have, and be the sacking of Eregion, because if I remember correctly, Elrond was really late for that, and Celebrimbor became a kebab because of that. I'm sorry to Celebrimbor families, but yeah. So I believe that we maybe get the forging of the ring, of the One Ring, early in season 3, and have mid season 3 the sacking of Eregion, and then the last bit of season 3 will be the settlement of Imladris and how we will move on from there and leave it a bit there. I don't know, maybe it's because I felt that season 1 was too rushed and I wanted to see more things in
Yeah.
between. And I don't want season 2 to be the same. So I don't know, like it feels a bit too much to have the One Ring forged in episode 6 of season 2. So yeah.
No, that's fair. That's a fair point. And I think then you would be potentially suggesting that the Anatar plotline doesn't stop at episode 6 but continues to episode 8. So that's one viewpoint. Does anybody else agree with the theory or think that is Nikki? I think you put your hand up. Go for it.
Sorry, bit of noise in the back here. I don't agree with that theory, but I have like because they forged the 3 elven rings in this season. To me, it would make more sense if they had like one season dedicated to each set of rings. So the next one, like season 2, we're gonna see humans.
Dwarves.
And then season 3, sadly, we're gonna be seeing dwarves. You're gonna have to wait. But that's what I feel. would make more sense, and then the One Ring, and then the battle, and then because if we're gonna have 8 seasons or more or whatever it is they're saying, forging the One Ring in season 2 is gonna be way too soon for anything. I feel like unless they're gonna focus on like in depth what happens after the One Ring is forged and everybody falls under its spell and whatnot, it would be interesting, but it would just they would run out of material too quickly. I worry. And I don't want that because I want the season to go on and I want it to be interesting.
I think that's very fair, very fair. Rory, anything?
Yeah, I was just like seeing some of the responses in chat, and also what V said, and Nikki too, that like it would be really rushed if they did that. I do agree with V that they have to have something forged. Like, so I wouldn't mind the idea maybe like yeah like what Varking said, one set of rings per season, per race, I guess. But yeah, I really hope this doesn't come about like how the theory said. The other thing about the theory, are they suggesting that Sauron Halbrand is going to interact with Anatar as a separate character?
Oh no, I think they're just
I
saying that
think
the
they meant
Anatar
Adar, maybe.
storyline. No, I think it's trying to say that the Anatar storyline will happen before episode 6. So that whole plot line does happen too.
Oh,
As
okay. I thought it
Julius,
was they were suggesting like a multiverse of madness kind of
Wow.
like whoa
no,
no
I
no
hope
don't,
not.
okay.
Julia in the chat said Celebrimbor wasn't convincing in season 1, so his death in season 2 would mean nothing to the viewers. So the writers need to make us fall in love with him.
Exactly.
That is what Narvi is for, and the
Ooh.
relationship built with the dwarves, and that will maybe give us a door at a minimum if we have to wait until season 3 for some rings. But I think maybe by the end of this season, maybe there will be at least one dwarven ring fully finished, and then we get the rest of them in early season 3 or something. But I think it's time for the dwarves to get their due, which is my other
Honestly,
speculation. If we don't
I
get
just
dwarven
remembered.
rings, we're getting no. You wait, you wait.
yeah.
Okay, we are talking
Sorry, sorry.
dwarven stuff here.
Now that I
The,
think about
Mm.
it, when you look at the prologue of Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, they say 3 were given to the elves, 7 to the dwarf lords, and 9 like so. When you look at it like that, they mentioned the elves first, then the dwarves, then the humans. So if they're going off that, I mean, you might stand a chance.
Also, I remember something I tweeted from the FOF account. We had some interview from the actor that plays during the third that implied that he's getting a lot of jewels and rings and maybe stuff like that. So after the filming of season 2, so maybe indeed we have more hints that we will get the dwarven rings next. So Varking will get his wish, and I don't know. It will be insufferable when we get season 2. No, it will be very nice.
just wait until they announce the all dwarven spinoff, so we can get more of Khazad Doom. That's going to be the announcement by the end of the year.
If they have Elrond in it with Durin going around Khazad-dûm, I'm in it. Like I will watch it for sure.
Yeah, I have to admit, the dwarves and the dwarven storylines were some of the things that I think saved season 1 for me and made it so much more enjoyable to watch. I love the elves, but I giggled more and smiled more and snuggled more into my couch when I was watching those seasons and those scenes. So, those episodes and those scenes, I mean. So,
Vertex in the YouTube chat is saying Peter Mullen did imply that he gets a ring.
That's what I said from the
Yeah, but
interview.
you were earlier you were pro elves, so I wasn't really listening. So that's probably on me. That's my bad, guys. That's my bad.
Yeah.
Too many
And
V's on one stream.
and it looks like Beric. Interesting. The horse is talking, and we're pretty. Oh no, that's not the one I wanted to highlight. I think there was a question
straight
mentioned.
from the horse's mouth, you
Yeah,
guys.
exactly. Fair enough.
Best boy from season
It's
1.
one
Yeah.
voice.
Could we get the attack on a Region before the creation of the One Ring? That'd be juggling events a bit, but could that still help with like things not moving too quickly?
Haven't
Is
they
that
already been juggling events a little bit?
yeah? So I was saying, is
Would
there a
it surprise us
possibility?
if that happened?
I'm worried about this. I think it's probably likely the way they condense timelines, but like it would be such a better show if they sort of draw out the War of Elves and Sauron, and I think it would be so backwards if they have this show about the rings of power and like all these things happened before they even made all the rings. Like I don't know, it's kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
I
It
mean, they
could
don't
be any.
need. Sorry, Harry. I have
Sorry, go ahead.
interrupted you.
Sorry, again. No.
I mean, we don't really need Aragon for the Forge of the One Ring. It is for to Mount Doom, so I guess
Yeah.
they could jiggle that around. It wouldn't. I wouldn't really recommend it if they ask me, but they could do it.
Wouldn't he need the One Ring to have the power to, though?
I mean, if he has enough orcs and Celebrimbor doesn't get the assistance he needs, like we know that Ellard is late to that, so I think he could juggle it around. But with the civil war between the orcs that will happen because Adar, Sauron, everything goes boom. I don't think he will have the power eventually, but it could be a possibility if he had a lot of orcs.
That is fair. That is fair. Any final
Excellent look
thoughts?
blocking.
All right.
Thank you. When I realized this was a pro dwarf stream, I figured I'd go get the gear on.
Also, we had someone say I don't know what's going on with my English today. That writing is during the 8th, but
Oh, let me find that.
That's what the spinoff is going to be about, but I just legally couldn't tell you guys.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Very excited to watch that one, and I think we have one final theory, if I can bloody well find it.
I want a Barrack spin-off.
Yep.
Interesting.
Gotta have Beric find Isildur.
Yeah. Just a whole season about that. Just a horse looking for his owner. Kind of like War
It will-
Horse, if you've seen that movie.
I haven't seen the movie. But I was going to say about the horse and his boy of C.S. Lewis. Like we will have Narnia infiltrating Lord of the Rings, and Tolkien. I don't know what would think about
I have
that.
to say, I know this is a Lord of the Rings show, but I'm really sad that they didn't capitalize on those books because the first few books are so
Yes.
good. And there are 7 in total, and they just didn't use all that potential. It's very sad.
I think Netflix got the rights to the books.
Yeah,
and
there's
they-
more. There's more coming, but Walden Media, they, I don't know, it didn't work out.
And we do, actually, Netflix do have the rights, so
Yeah.
maybe one day we'll see some updates on there. And I think interesting that was mentioned, Charles Edwards did post a picture with
Oh,
him
yeah.
being made. Let me see if we Varking, do you want to do the honors of reading this theory out while I try to find that picture?
Sure. My theory is this. Sauron was behind the trees of Linden getting sick after Gil-galad and Elrond reject him earlier in the Second Age. We may see him in the prologue during his repentant phase, trying to restore Middle-earth before his rejection/humiliation by Gil-galad, driving him to anger and despair. He finds Shelob, gets some of her venom, and poisons the Linden soil/trees. Or perhaps just uses magic/trickery, hoping the Eldar will leave. If it's by magic, that could tie into his efforts with Eddar, tapping into the powers of the unseen to create at first, then taint, corrupt. I'm less sure how that gets to Halbrand, but I assume that is just. And that's all you gave me on the screen.
Yep. Okay. I'll try to find the bottom of that. But in the meantime, first of all, thank you for reading that out. Second of all, here is that picture.
Oof.
That
Celebrim banner.
that. Meanwhile, let me just find out what the bottom of that would have said.
Was it the last time they made a Shrek? Maybe he's got another role, another job that he's doing.
Shrek.
Maybe from the quote, it is rings a bell.
Is that it is that is just him taking / possessing a body after he is disembodied by Adar. And one moment, I think I forgot to what's it called? I forgot to credit this user. So I'll just do this quickly. This is where it came from. So that's the full. Let me see how it looks on screen. But yeah, that's how it looks in full. So
Yeah, maybe he just woke up. Like maybe after he was killed by Adar, he just woke up on the boat in his body and was like, "What the hell?" And then caused the sinking of and like engineered his way to Galadriel. I don't know.
And I think this is a very interesting point. According to the law, Sauron cannot enter Lindon, or you got pushed back. How will Shelob infiltrate so that this theory will be possible? So maybe it could be that okay, Sauron didn't get into it, but Shelob did somehow, and then poisoned trees. As this theory can mention, that could be one way. Does anybody see that as a possibility?
Well, it doesn't say Shelob goes in. It says
Yeah,
Shelob
but yeah,
gets like he gets some of her venom and then poisons the
yeah,
trees.
yeah,
Make a fair trade.
exactly. But that,
Give her something to eat,
yeah,
and then she will give you some venom.
yeah. Could be a possibility. I actually really like the idea of Shelob going in there herself, but I think that is still a nice way. Um, that works. In my opinion. So, does anybody like this theory? First of all, do you think it is good to have an explanation? Because I think it's fair to say, objectively, one of the most hated things around season one across the board was the mithril. Whatever happened with that, the poisoning of the trees, that like the elves having to leave like within 6 months. So does this like give it an is this like potentially course correction? So maybe it might not be, but is it right for this to be fixed in a way or have a backstory to it? Do you think that's what this
I don't know
is?
if
Yeah.
it's course correction or if it's just trying to, because again, all this was written before season one was even finished, or for us seeing it. We need some sort of explanation. It would be weird for like the elves to just randomly start fading in 4 or 5 months from now. They have no idea what's going on, but if they happen to be around some mithril veins, they would be all right for a minute. Like all that's very weird. So I think as viewers, we would like some sort of explanation into that. So I'm hoping we do get some of that this season.
I'm guessing they have a plan and they've always had a plan. It's just I don't know if they'll be changing some of that plan to adjust to the reactions that they received on season one, or if they'll stick to it because it'll surprise us in the end and we'll be like, oh, actually, that was pretty good thinking. That could happen. I'm still hoping it will, but it would make sense that they would somehow explain this because leaving it unexplained just leaves everybody unsatisfied, confused, and angry.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Um. Sorry. Go ahead.
this is happening all the time. Going in with my delusion again, and believing that this is a folklore, as Edward said, that this is a myth and not an actual thing. And it was actually one of the reactions I had seen a lot going around in Twitter that believed that they basically inserted myths and folklore inside the culture of the elves because, I mean, they didn't even name the warrior that slain that Balrog and began that mithril strip. And because Elrond is kind of a lore master already, and he knows a lot about the lore, him not believing that this is truth and him believing that it's just a myth actually makes it uh, believable that it's just a myth. And maybe it was Gilgalad's like pressure to find a solution for his people because he's the king and he has to understand why he is dying. That made him resort to something that seemed impossible but could be like still make sense. Um, so I pinned in it on that as of making it Sauron's fault. I mean, it's either that or the linden tree actually has the same sense of like the darkness surrounding it, and it's a way of like communicating to the elves that the danger is near and they have to act. and elves doing right the opposite of acting would be really funny, and it's something that happens a lot of time in myths as well. Like they give you a god sent sign and you do right the opposite of what you were supposed to do. So maybe it's that. Maybe I'm again delusional. I've been
Mm-hmm.
Or
very toxic.
maybe
No.
one, Rory, bless you, and two, maybe Halbrand already has some of Shelop's poison, and it's in his pouch.
That I think from Tarmodi, I think could Sheila's poison be contained in the vial hanging around Halbrand's neck? And yep, let's find this here. This was the thing that we nearly really got told what was actually inside this pouch.
A lot of
So that
venom.
is an interesting theory. A lot of venom. Interesting, interesting.
He just has it like
Kieran,
Frank's red hot sauce. We're ready to go. And then,
He puts
yeah.
that on everything. Yeah.
Quail
hmm
sauce.
yeah.
Yeah. And then Kieran's theories, my idea was that someone came to Gilgalad genuinely seeking to help, but being rejected was too much for his pride to bear. That's an interesting way to like wrap your head around the fact that Anatard or Sauron did get rejected from Lindon. And I think Varkin, I think it is fair that
What a stud.
we've ended all our theories from the chat, and also basically, but by the way, I'm thinking, let us know if you want to see a part two of this. I'll quickly do a poll if you want to see a part two of these because there were so many that we couldn't actually go to. There's stuff, so many theories on you guys. We still want. I'm sure you guys will have even more theories for us to discuss. So if you want a part two, just let us know, and I'll do a little. Then we can discuss more of your ones. But in the meantime, we didn't really get into something too explicitly woven related. So, do you have any theories or speculation on the rules that you'd like to share with the room?
Yeah, I think you see a bigger strain this season between the two Durans. Maybe Disa will play a role in that, and I think that by season's end, again, at least one of the Durans, probably Daddy Duran, that was already hinted, gets one of the rings of power. But I'm gonna go with younger Duran had the opportunity to get the ring and passed on it and allowed his father to have it. And that's my theory for the dwarves this season. Also, in one of Sauron's forms, Silas A, B, C, D, E, F, or G, one of them makes their way to Khazad Doom to try to play nice
Mm-hmm.
with the dwarves. And that
Interesting,
Khazad
interesting.
Doom will have more dwarves on screen per pixel than we had in Numenor or in that weird village with Arondir and Bronwyn and all them, or anywhere else. It is going to look booming this season.
Fair, Nikki.
Markin, do you think there's gonna be the Doors of Durin created in season 2 or no?
I think Narvi and Celebrimbor planned it out, and then maybe when Celebrim gets bannered, then maybe Narvi, in his honor, finishes the door and gives him some of the credit for it. And that's why people think Celebrimbor is this great smith, but really it was Narvi all along.
Yeah, I guess one of my theories for season 2, if we are to see more of the dwarves, will be that we'll follow Sauron on his journey through all of his A, B, C, D, E, F, G looks. And he will go to the dwarves and fool them. He will go to the humans and fool them. So we'll see maybe somehow he gets into the dwarves' heads and help them or force them or somehow coerce them to dig for more mithril, which will further the strain between the two Durins, which will again
Ooh.
cause drama. I don't think we'll see the Balrog. I don't think they'll go that far, but I think maybe we'll see more of that because I mean, I guess Sauron needs the mithril to forge more of the rings, doesn't he? So
If he wants
Potentially.
good rings.
yeah, so somehow he's gonna have to get into that, and I think that is what's gonna cause more of a strain. But eventually, he's gonna get a ring. So Yeah,
Mhm.
go on to the humans.
Interesting. I think that shows the dwarves have a pretty interesting, potentially impactful part of the second season, which would be which is pretty cool. I think I'm sure Mr. V on the left is very, very happy with that. Also, I think going back to this very quickly, this final point, an interesting point raised was that the only place we saw the poisoning from the was in the Southlands and by the tree. This whole poisoning thing. So that is a pretty interesting way to look at it as well. And also, thank you, Kieran, for this as well. And I'm sure it looks like from the poll that people do want to do a part two. So if you all guys in the panel are down for a part two, then I'm sure, yeah, we can do a part two sometime.
Hold on.
Sometime.
Lady Miko said, any comment on the recent speculation by Redanian intelligence regarding release date for season 2? What is their speculated release date?
I think they said early 2025. I've already spoken to them though, so I think all I'd say is, of course, as just with us and everyone else, rumors going around, etc., etc. So all I know is that actually I can't say that. Okay,
Early 2025. We're gonna be old before this
24,
finishes.
24.
We're gonna
24,
die.
I would say mid
I'm not an
2024
elf.
personally.
I don't live that long.
Yeah.
You are, and elves don't age like that,
Yeah.
so you're going to be just fine.
Oh.
Yeah. And actually, I did promise user. First of all, this user? I think it's from Tribu who was in chat earlier when we were talking about. Let me find the leak we were talking about.
While he's looking for
Here we
that,
go.
can we all just admit that the picture that made it to social media of Owain Arthur, Sophia, and Robert all together, was that not the cutest thing ever?
Agreed.
We need
It
more
was
of them
amazing.
on screen.
Agreed. It's.
I think we will see them more.
What do you think is Elrond doing in this season? That's a weird
Being as strong as a warrior.
Yeah,
There it
for
is.
sure.
So adorable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was posted
And
on
also-
Sophia's Insta.
Yep.
Yeah.
And also, there was another picture which was of interest because you got this buddy here. Also, this guy is a person called Charlie Ricks. He's an actor part of the show that wasn't announced as well. So there's a little mini thing. But where was I? Okay, so this user, so the theory, yes, those three Sophia is really wonderful. I can't say too much, but I did get the opportunity to sit next to her on a plane flight last year. So yeah, she was a really, really nice person, and yeah, so very nice. So we were talking about this one, and then about Sadaman potentially being the stranger, and then Tribu on r/Lord of the Rings on Prime, which you should go check out. Varkin is the moderator on there.
You only have like 9 more hours to view the subreddit, and then we are going to be going dark for I think 2 or 3 days.
Interesting. What causes that for?
There was a little bit of drama over Reddit and their appreciation of third-party app developers, and they lied about an interaction that they had one, and the amount of money that they want to charge for somebody who makes an app for Reddit. In this case, it was Apollo, really, really popular iOS app for Reddit. They would charge them like $20 million a year for the API access. And then they tried to do an AMA to like cover it up. And then one of their responses from the developers was like they put the A and a colon in front of it to say like answer. So we know that they were like copying and pasting answers that they had already pre-scheduled. And they just did a really bad job during the AMA of like being honest with us folks. So most of the biggest subreddits that there are, like Apple, I think, or iPhone is already gone dark, and they're going to go dark indefinitely. We won't do that because Reddit might intervene and take over the subreddits. But a lot of the biggest subreddits, I think even r/movies maybe, which I think has like 24 million subscribers, they're also going to be going dark for like 2 to 7 days. A lot of subreddits are doing it just to show that we're frustrated with the Reddit administrators. And then after about a week or so, at least on our subreddit, things will go back to normal.
Cool. Viva la revolution.
Exactly.
I think, yeah, getting the Marxists out of Rory right there. So this theory, back to theory. The Gemini theory was created to logically answer one question: who's the meteor man? Get comfy because I have something to tell you. Many of us already think he's Gandalf because he's a grey Istar who summons fireflies and moths, controls ice and fire, is hobbit friendly, and said follow your nose. That's fair, but not enough because there are still so many unknowns about the meteor man. It's so funny still side playing that our phrase meteor man is still being used like 3 years later. I love that.
Mm.
Why did he fall from the sky? What did constellation have to do with him? Why does he want to go to Rune? What did the dwellers meant as they said he's not Sauron, he's the other? The other who? I may have a solution, the Gemini theory. First point, the constellation. In season one, the Meteor Man, remember, is a constellation which is almost identical to Gemini constellation. Keep it in mind because it'll be useful later. However, the Meteor Man needs to go to Rune due to this constellation, and here's the kicker. The dwellers also have that same constellation engraved on their shield. So they come from Rune 2. Watch the images. I think that's images he mentioned above. But if we go down a bit, the dwellers, we certainly know three things about the dwellers. They know magic, they will look for Sauron, but confused him with the other. They come from Rune. Now it seems logical to me to assume that there is a cult of Sauron there, but that's not all. If the dwellers are part of the cult, then they must have been sent by someone who. Rune's cult. The cult must be led by someone who sent the dwellers, and some informants emerge from Tolkien's writings about the two blue wizards in this regard. Surely they haven't been able to fulfill their duty because they were corrupted by Sauron, creating a cult. That's all we got, but we're getting close to the fun part. What if instead of both, there was only one blue rune to lead the cult? This little detail would answer all the questions. How did the dweller know about the meteor man? Because the blue wizard saw the meteor man falling, so he sent the dwellers to catch him. Why did he send the dwellers? Because Rune is a place where the stars are strange. So the meteor could be related to a prophecy that is coming true. Which prophecy? The Gemini prophecy. So the Gemini constellation is part of the cult's prophecy. It could be about two men leading Middle Earth. It doesn't matter now. I think I meant to say it doesn't matter how. Why did the dwellers think he was Sauron? Because it's a Sauron cult, so they thought it was him misunderstanding the prophecy. Who is the meteor man? The Gemini of the Blue Wizard is not Sauron, but the other Blue Wizard. Why did he fall from the sky? Because he has the duty to stop the cult leader. Why does he need to go to Rune? Because of his duty, which is also part of the Gemini prophecy. How will his storyline evolve? The relationship between the two wizards will be kind of Saruman and Gandalf. Evil tries to corrupt the good, but this time evil might win.
Yeah,
So,
I like this one. This story I like.
yeah, that's quite an interesting thing. Anybody have any thoughts? First of all, thank you as well for that.
I feel
Uh,
like it makes sense.
yeah.
Maybe
Um,
because I want it to make sense, but yeah.
It's still, I like it. I appreciate it, and I love the amount of thought and effort that put into it. And it's good to see that thread got 89 comments, so it wasn't just left barren because it was a lot. But I mean, like some of these questions, like why did he fall from the sky? Because he has a duty to stop the cult leader. But like, okay, but he could have came on a boat. He didn't like necessarily have to come in on a meteor. Like it doesn't really explain that to me. But just in general, I love theories like this. And like this is why the fandom is so fun to be a part of. It's stuff like this. It's stuff like when they released the hands posters, people figured out who was who based on scars and birthmarks and the veins in the hands.
And
Like it's
we went
hilarious.
12 to 12 on our stream
We were
for the
12
hand
for 12.
posters. We are like, LeBron, 12 for 12.
Yeah.
That's how we do it.
All hits, no misses.
Yeah.
That's the motto.
That's all. It's exactly. So yeah, I think it looks like 97% said that they want to see another one this, so maybe we could do another one next Friday. We'll see. We'll see, but we'll get one out potentially at some point in the future. So yeah, thank you. I think was someone going to add something?
Yeah, actually, I wanted, because I saw in the chat there was some confusion because it's such a big text. I think that the Blue Wizards sent the evil one, the cult leader, sent to find Sauron because he thought the Meteor Man was Sauron, but the Dwellers knew that there is another, the Gemini, like the double of the Blue Wizards, so they understood that the other, they meant it's not Sauron after all that the blue wizard told us, but it's the other blue wizard. It's a bit confusing, but that's why the dwellers, the mystics, were looking for Sauron. So maybe they have like a prophecy that says that Sauron will come with a meteor, and that prophecy was wrong and was actually talking about the blue wizard. Maybe that's the answer to Varking's question. I don't know. Like I think I'm going in too much into detail for no reason here, but it's a really nice theory.
It's first. I think that sounds good to me. The Gemini theory, a very, very interesting thing. So I think we passed perfect timing as well, 1 hour 15 minutes. I think we covered 6, well 7, 8 actually with this one as well. So well done, team. I think we did a good job. And also shout out to Cathy and Strider who couldn't make it today. Hopefully we'll see them soon. And there should be a second date show this Sunday as well. So
Hey,
and
who made that fire intro at the beginning of the video?
oh, you mean this one? I just realized.
Dang.
No, I just realized I just gave 75 people a jump scare. Sorry for that.
I just had
Uh,
one random thought before we leave. It was
Yeah,
just something that popped into my head, and it's absolutely insane and far-fetched. But you know, the Gemini theory, like Geminis, they're twins, right? So what if Sauron's soul was split in two, and the Meteor Man and Halbrand are both Sauron? It's just that Meteor Man doesn't know he's Sauron yet, so he's going to turn evil eventually.
So Sauron. So Halbrand is a Sauron variant, basically.
Yeah.
Low key, but make it Middle Earth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
make it Tolkien. Yeah.
fair enough. I think. See,
I
we
hope
can
not.
go. Yeah, but look, there's so much to discuss, and we can go on for ages. So yeah, we should definitely do another one. Pretty soon. So oh, my hair's such a mess. Oh my god.
Nice, nice.
So thank you, everybody. First of all, thank you, Varking.
Always a pleasure to be on these, and it's great to have a lot of the folks that are here today. It's good streaming with y'all and being able to have fun like this, and appreciate the chat being so lively. It's a good time.
Yeah.
For those that look to communicate with us and share theories and thoughts in between, please look for our Discord link and join us on Discord.
I'll put that link into chat right now. But yes, indeed. Thank you, Nikki, as well as always.
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to be on here, and I'm glad to be back. I'm hoping we'll see more Council of fans soon, and I get to be
Yes.
on the show more often. But yes, thank you.
I think we would all like that.
Aw.
I'm hoping for Council of fans to come back on Fridays at some point soon, like regularly again. So that is the plan, hopefully. But yep, again, already back on. Thank you, Rory.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for having me back. It's really nice to come back after some time away. Hopefully, can come back again for the next one as well.
Definitely. Thank you, V.
Thank you for having me, and I think based on the comments we should do one for the physics of Arda, like flat, where using constellations and stuff, because
Oh yeah.
the conversation is really interesting right now in the chat.
Yeah.
I'm glad I was here for this.
Indeed. So yeah, we will be doing another one soon. This Sunday second aid show should hopefully be about orcs, potentially.
Will you be doing an AMA on Sunday in Discord after the show?
Yes, if there is a second aid show this Sunday, which there most likely will be, 45 minutes after at 7:15 p.m. UK time, we will be doing an AMA on the Discord that I linked above. So yes, see you all then. Thank you everyone to chat in chat. We really appreciate it. And I think until the next one, my friends, goodbye all.